Hey loves, welcome to another tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to go about the pattern drafting for this asymmetric cold shoulder blouse with keyhole neckline. If you are interested in this, keep watching and let's get started. Alright guys, so I'm going to start by drawing out the starting line, and this is also the shoulder line, okay? So all other measurements now will be taken from the shoulder line. So you put your tape measure here and measure to the bust point, and I'm using 10 inches. So you make a mark here and draw the line across, okay? And this line will be the bust line. So the next line here is the waistline, okay? So we'll measure 6 inches from the previous line and rule across, okay? And that line will be our waistline. So the next one here is the hip line. So we'll measure 8 inches from the waistline down across, okay? And I'll rule that line down. So here on the bust line, we are going to divide our bust by 4, and then we'll mark that here, okay? So the next one is our waist, and we'll divide our waist by 4 and add 1 inch for that, okay? So now we are also going to divide our hip by 4 and also mark that on the hip line. So after doing that, we'll go ahead and connect the points together, okay? So I'll go ahead and connect the points together like so. Now, once you are through with this, you are going to go in from the shoulder here by 3 inches, okay, for your neck width, and also 3 inches down for the neck depth. Once you are through with that, draw in your neck curve, okay? So I'll go ahead and use my pattern master to draw in my neck curve, okay? So for the shoulder, I'm measuring 5 inches from the neck point, okay? So I'll measure 5 inches from the neck point like so, and then I'll drop the shoulder by 1 inch. Then I'll go ahead and connect them together like so. Now for the armhole line, divide your bust by 6 and add 1.5, okay? And take the measurement from the shoulder point like so. Mark that down and then you roll the line across. And also connect from the shoulder point down to the chest line, okay? Once you are through with that, get the midpoint of the armhole line and measure half an inch in, okay? And then connect the points together. You can use your pattern master or your free hand, okay? Now once you are through with that, we take in our dart, okay? So use your nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2 and measure like so. So mine is 4, so I'm measuring 4 from the center front, okay? I went ahead to draw that line across, and I'll be taking in my dart, okay? So on the waistline, take in half an inch on both sides of the line, okay? Like so. So you're taking half an inch on both sides, and from the bust line you measure 1 inch down. Then from the hip line you measure 2 inches upwards, okay? All right, so here I'll go ahead and connect my darts together. Okay, I'll go ahead and connect all my dart points together. So this style has a bit of a built-up neckline, okay? So I'll go ahead and measure 3 cm from my neck point like so, and then I'll connect it back into the shoulder line, okay? So I'll connect it back into the shoulder line. Now after doing that, I'm also going ahead to connect it back into the neckline, okay? For the neckline, we are not raising the neckline, we are only raising the shoulder, okay? Once I'm through with that, we'll draw the keyholes, okay? So the center front keyhole, I'm using the length of 3.5 inches, okay? And then the width will be 2 inches. So this is, since the brown paper is on fold, I'm using 1 inch, okay? So when I open it up, I will have 2 inches, okay? Now for the spacing between the first and second keyhole, I'm using 3 inches, okay? And then I'm using 4 inches for the length of the keyhole and also 2 inches for the width, okay? Okay, so I'm going ahead to connect all together like this, and this is what I have. Now for the cone effect, I'm extending my hip line by 3.5 inches, okay? And I also want the waist to be smaller, so I'll reduce the waist by half an inch, and then I'll connect it back to the hip like so. And I'll also connect it back to the bust line. Okay, so I'll connect it back into it like this, and this is what I have so far. So I went ahead to cut it out, and I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video that the brown paper is on fold. Okay, because this is an asymmetric style, the brown paper is on fold so that when we open it up we'll have a full front. Okay, so I'll go ahead now and cut out the keyhole shape. Okay, all right, so I'm done cutting this one, but I didn't cut it all through. Okay, so we are going to cut the second one. To do that, I went ahead to duplicate the pattern on the second part. Okay, so that when I open it up I'll have the same shape to cut that out. All right, so I've gone ahead to cut them all out, and then I'll be taking my shoulder to under bust measurement. That's which I should have done at the beginning. Okay, so I'll take my shoulder to under bust measurement. Mine is 14, so I'll measure that and then I'll roll that across. Now for the underbust tightening, I'll take out half an inch on both sides of the dart on the underbust, like so, and connect it back to the waistline. Okay, like what I'm doing. Okay, when I'm through with that, I'll connect the curve to the bust point like so. Okay, so this is it. I just went ahead to use my free hand to connect this, and then for the I'll be using a princess dart for this. So I located the midpoint of the armhole and shaped this back to the dart. Okay, all right, so after doing this I'll go ahead and cut them out. Okay, I'll cut everything out. So the shape here is too sharp, so I'll go ahead and blend this in. Okay, I'll do that and cut the excess off. Okay, so after I'm through with that, I'll go ahead and transfer the lines to the other side of the pattern. Okay, now for the asymmetric effect at the hip line, I'll go ahead and open the pattern up, meaning I'm using just one side of the front and then I'm leaving the other side out. Okay, and then on one of the hip line I will measure 4 inches up like so and connect it back into the hemline. Okay, like what I'm doing, I'll connect it back into the hemline. So I'll shape it from that 4 inches line back into the hemline. After I'm through with that, I'll go ahead and cut this out. Okay, so this is what I have, and then I went ahead to pin this down to see if the shape is okay. Yeah, so we'll put the front aside and work on the back. Okay, so I already have my necessary lines. I have the shoulder line, the bust line, the waistline, and the hip line. Okay, so for these I'll repeat the same thing I did for the front. Okay, I'll divide my bust by 4 and input the measurement on the bust line. I'll do the same thing for the waist, divided by 4, and I'll add 1 inch for that. I'll also divide my hip by 4. Okay, so when I'm through with this, I'll go ahead and connect the points together. Now for the back neckline, I'm using 3 inches for the neck width and then 1.5 inches for the neck depth. Okay, so I'll measure this out and then I'll go ahead and draw my neck curve. And I'll also go ahead and take my shoulder measurement, which is 5, and I'll drop by 1 inch and then I'll connect this to the chest line. Okay, after that I'm going ahead to draw my armhole curve like so. So I'm also going to extend the hip line by 3.5 inches. Okay, then I'll go ahead and roll this line. I'll roll that across, and on the waistline I'll also reduce the waist by half an inch. Okay, like what we did for the front, I'll also reduce the waist and I'll connect them together like so. And I also went ahead to draw in my dart. Okay, so I'm measuring my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4, and then I'll go ahead and draw my dart. Okay. Once I was through with that, I'll go ahead and draw my built-up neckline. Okay, so I'll measure 3 cm from the neck point. Okay, so I'll measure 3 cm from that point, and then I'll connect it back to the shoulder like what we did for the front. Okay, so I'll connect it back to the shoulder and also connect it into the back neckline. Okay, now for the back dart, I'll be extending the dart leg to the shoulder. Okay, so I'll just get the midpoint and then I'll connect it to the shoulder. All right, so after doing that, I'll go ahead and cut everything out. Okay, so you see that point of the waistline, I'll go ahead and blend this in. Okay, it's not supposed to be too sharp, so I'll go ahead and blend this in. Okay, before cutting everything out. So after cutting it, I'll just go ahead and label that side center back. Okay, so for the asymmetric effect, I also go upwards 4 inches, okay, from the hip line, and then I'll blend this back into the hemline. Okay, like what we did for the front. So remember, this is on fold, right? So I'll have to go ahead and split this into 2, okay, before cutting out the asymmetric effect so that it won't affect the other side. Okay, so after cutting, I'll go ahead and put the 2 panels together and then I'll cut out the shape. Okay, now for the other side of the back, I'll just go ahead and use the cutout pieces to trace out the dots. Okay, you can also use your tracing wheel to also transfer your dots. Okay, so this is what I have. We are done with the back as well. Okay, so these are the patterns and then we'll go ahead and work on the sleeve. Okay, now for the sleeve, I have my basic long sleeve block. Okay, so this has my long sleeve measurements. Okay, but for the sleeve design we are going to extend the length of the sleeve. Okay, so I added extra 5 inches to the length of the sleeve. Okay, so after adding the 5 inches to the sleeve, I'll go ahead and draw my center line. Okay, once I'm through with these, I'll go ahead and cut this through. Okay, so we are going to use the slash and spread method. So I'll go ahead and cut like so, and I'll also go ahead and cut the inner part. Okay, I'll cut from that point to the side. Okay, like what I'm doing. Okay, so for this, I'm not going to cut this all through. Okay, I'll leave something small for this to help spread this out. Okay, now once I'm through with that, I'll have to put an extra pattern paper under the sleeve. Okay, so I just went ahead to put an extra paper and then I'll extend the middle line onto the paper. Okay, onto the new pattern paper. Okay, now for the wideness, I'll measure 1.5 inches on both sides of the center line. Okay, so here I'll go ahead and measure 1.5 on one side and then I'll secure that with a pin. I'll put the sleeve on that part, okay, and secure that with a pin and repeat the same thing for the other side of the sleeve. Once I'm through with that, I'll go ahead and shape the hem of the sleeve, okay, like so. Once I'm done shaping the hem of the sleeve, I'll go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so this is what I have and I'm going ahead to fold these into 2. So you see the starting point of the 5 inches. I'll go ahead and take in half an inch on that side. Okay, this will help with the fit. That side will look slimmer. Okay, so once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and shape this into the sleeve. Okay, so here I'll go ahead and cut that out. Okay, so this is what I have. So for the coat shoulder, I realized my camera went off was now once I'm done with that, I'll move ahead to cut out the coat shoulder. Okay, when I was filming this particular side, my camera went off, so I'll go ahead and repeat what I did. Okay, so I measured 5 inches from the crown of the sleeve down, and then also measure 4 inches like so. Okay, so I'll also measure 4 inches from the center towards the armhole. Okay, so mark that out and then you shape it out like so. Okay, once I'm through with that, I'll go ahead and cut this out. Now there is an opening at the center of the sleeve. Okay, so I want to go ahead and mark that down. So I am marking 4 inches upwards from the 5 inches, the previous 5 inches line. I'll measure 4 inches upwards. Okay, and mark that. I also flip the sleeve to the other side and also make a mark there. So it's like I'm making a notch. So when I'm sewing, I know that that side is where the slit will be. Okay, so I'll go ahead and divide this into two. Okay, so when I'm cutting it on my fabric, I'll add an allowance at that part. Okay, so I'm working with this satin fabric. I'll go ahead and cut out all my pattern pieces. I'll give all my necessary seam allowance. Okay, once I'm through with that, these are all my cutout pieces, and yeah, that's all for the drafting of this blouse. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you find it helpful, and I'll be seeing you guys in my next video.